Hello everyone, Ronnix with another tutorial, and in this today I want to show you guys how to edit or how to retouch your outdoor images in Photoshop. So I've been doing so many tutorials about how to edit indoor images and how to do all that, but this specific tutorial is about how to edit and color grade your raw images. And in this tutorial today we are going to be learning about each and everything, how to retouch from the start to the finish. So that is going to entail how to import your images into Photoshop, how to color grade your images, first of all, for those that shoot raw. Then we're also going to have skin retouching, dodging and burning. Then we're also going to do the further color grading and also the eye and teeth whitening in Photoshop, and finally how to save your images in Photoshop. So I think I'd uploaded a video earlier on and it really had sound issues. So I thought that it would be better or wiser to do a way better tutorial with better sound. So this is the tutorial. So let's kick in and we start learning about the wonderful steps. So first of all, we're going to come into the Photoshop interface. And in order to import your images, you can simply come right here to File. Then you can just come to Open, and you can choose where your image is selected and you can import it into Photoshop. Or the next step, you can just, for those who have older versions of Photoshop, you can just right click or double click on the interface to open up or import the image into your Photoshop. Then for my case, I'm going to be coming right on this option and I'm going to hit open, and it's going to bring for me the different folders on my device. So I'm going to come to the desktop because that's where the image I'm going to retouch for this very tutorial is. So I'm just going to scroll down and look for the image. So you're just going to select the image, and remember this is a raw image. You're going to open the image and it is automatically going to open the camera raw filter in Photoshop. For those that have Photoshop CC or who have the plugin or the camera raw filter into their Photoshop. So basically what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to show you guys how first of all color grade your images for those that shoot in RAW. So we're just going to first come and we are going to reset all these. So basically I just want to come and reset everything. So I'm going to look for the reset option and I'm going to come and reset everything in this image. So I'm going to come and look for reset to default so that we get the image the way it was looking straight out of the camera. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to start showing you guys how to edit or color grade your images in Photoshop. So this is the image, and a brief information about the image. We are using a camera raw version of 12.4. So this image was taken using a Canon 6D camera at ISO 250 85mm lens and shot at f5.6, and the shutter speed was basically a thousandth of a second. So I shot this image at around midday and the sun was really harsh and it was taken at the beach. So first of all, I think I have the right colors for this image, but I feel like it really looks kind of red. So I'm just going to be doing the basic adjustments on this image before we can start retouching it. So I'm going to come to the highlights and I'm going to knock them down like that to get rid of the whites in the forehead or in the highlights of the image. Then I'm also going to knock down the whites like that. So I think that's too far. And I'm also going to knock the blacks down. Then I'm going to pump up the contrast to around 3 for this image. And since it looks kind of red, I'm going to come under the tint right here. Remember, the opposite of magenta is green. So I'm just going to move this towards the green side. So I think here the image looks really nice to be retouched. So you're just going to come and hit open. Yeah, you don't click done, hit open. So when you hit open, it is going to open our image in the Photoshop interface like that. So first of all, I want to crop this image because I feel like I want to post this image on Instagram, and Instagram allows a crop ratio of 4:5 or 8:10. So you come right here to the crop tool and look for the ratio of 4:5, because we want the image to occupy the whole screen on Instagram when we post it. So we're just going to come right here and we're just going to crop in the image like that. So depending on really what you want, after selecting your crop option, hit the enter key to approve that. And you always have to make sure that the content aware is not on, because it is going to delay your cropping process. So make sure this right here is not ticked, but for this case I'm just going to ignore that, because anyway this is a very fast machine and we are just going to get done with that. So this is the crop ratio we have done on the image. So first of all, we want first remove the blemishes before retouching. So it doesn't matter, you can do the skin retouching first and remove the blemishes after doing your skin retouching, or you can simply either prefer to remove the blemishes first and do the skin retouching, so that you have less time to do after your skin retouching. Remember, most of the times after doing skin retouching, we tend to be tired to remove the blemishes. So let's remove the blemishes first in this image, and in order to do that, we're just going to come right here and we are going to create a new blank layer. So let's rename this layer blemishes like that. So we are going to come right here, and for removing blemishes, remember this model really has a nice skin, so you're just going to select the spot healing brush tool like that. So select the spot healing brush tool and make sure it is on a new blank layer. Then make sure you tick sample all layers, or you check this box. Then you're going to zoom into the image like this, and you're going to reduce on the size of the spot healing brush tool. So remember, if at all you want to zoom into your image, use Command plus or Control plus to zoom in, and to zoom out use Command minus or Control minus to zoom out your image. And for increasing on the size of the spot healing brush tool, use the left and the right brackets on the keyboard to either increase or decrease on the size of the spot healing brush tool, or for whichever tool you're going to use to remove the blemishes. So just make sure it is bigger than the blemish you're trying to eliminate or remove, and in the image, and it is going to do a really nice job. And for those areas which are kind of problematic, you'll have to learn about, I'm going to put a video for you guys about the complete blemish removal process in Photoshop and the different tools and how they do work, for those who learn to learn about those who learn about the various tools for removing blemishes from the images. So we're just going to clean up the blemishes, and this model really has a nice skin, I should say. So we are going to have less work to do, so that we can just dive in and do the skin retouching on this image real quick. So let's just clean up. I think we are almost, I should say we are almost done with the removal of the blemishes in this from this image. So let's just clean up right there and this side. I think this is all, so let's check for more blemishes. For those that will remain, we are just going to clean them later on. So I think we are done removing the blemishes from this image. You can see you have done less work. So we want to merge these two layers before we can do a skin retouching. So you're going to come right here to layer and scroll all the way down to and select merge visible to merge the two layers. So here is where we do learn about skin retouching, and we are going to first of all learn about the amazing frequency separation technique. I know there are various methods for doing skin retouching in Photoshop. We have frequency separation. Some people prefer to use dodge and burn, and those who use frequency separation, some prefer to use the lasso tool separately or independent, and others use the mixer brush tool, and some others prefer to combine the two methods of frequency separation, that is using the mixer brush tool and using the lasso tool. And for this case, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the best way of frequency separation. So basically, what is frequency separation? Frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that divides the image into two. It divides the image into the high frequency and the low frequency. So under the high frequency, we have the textures or the outlines of the image, and under the low frequency, we have the skin tones or the colors in the image. So when you combine the two layers, you're going to be able to get back the whole image the way it was looking before. So it's like when you slice maybe an orange into two parts, you have two halves, and when you combine the two halves, you'll get the whole orange as a whole. So that is basically what you're going to be doing, so that you can work on different layers independently or separately, so that we can combine both layers after working on them and we get a beautiful image. So let's dive in and recreate those two layers I've just talked about. So you're just going to hit Ctrl J or Command J on the keyboard twice to create these two layers. And what we are going to do, we are going to rename these two layers into, like I said, I'm going to be using a low frequency. So I'm going to basically use all the terms for you guys to understand. So I'm going to use low frequency / color, or maybe some people call it the tones layer, and we're going to rename this the opposite, so high frequency, or some people call it the texture layer, like that. So that is what I'm going to be using. So if at all I use these words when I'm trying to explain to you guys about which layer we are working on, don't get confused, because all these words are going to be using I'm going to be using, they are going to mean the same exact thing. I'm going first of all, the reason as to why we have the high frequency on top is because textures or outlines in the image are usually protruding. Even on our skins, textures, maybe the pores are usually protruding out of the colors or the pigments on our skins. That's why this has to be on top of the tones. So you're going to turn this off by hitting the eye icon on this very layer, and you're going to select the low frequency or the tones or the color layer. Make sure it is selected or highlighted. Then we are going to make sure we blur out or remove the textures from this layer, so that we only remain with the colors in the image. And you can see my cursor is now looking like a cross sign or a plus sign, and in order to get the way your cursor was looking initially before, just hit the caps lock key to get back to the original tool you are using before. So you want to blur out or remove textures from this layer so that we can hide them somewhere, and it is where we are going to be stealing those textures later on, and we put them on this very layer. So let's first of all remove the textures from the low frequency layer so that we can remain with the color or the skin tones. We are going to come right to filter, then we are going to come to blur, and we are going to come to Gaussian blur. And after doing so, you get this tiny box right here. And remember, we just want to remove the textures from the image. So you, after getting this, make sure your preview is on. Then look for the area that seems to have more skin textures than the rest of the skin. I think we are just going to go for this area. So we want to move this slider until we are no longer seeing these textures in the model's face. So you're just going to move. So move while you're looking at this very area and the image, because when you're moving this, make sure you can still notice the facial structures, but in a way in a different way. So just come and move this until you have lost out on the textures, like that. So I'm just going to put 10 because that's the value I want. So you can zoom and pan around to see if at all textures have been lost out, but remember, you can still see that these are the eyes and the facial structures in the image. You're going to come and hit OK, like that. Then you're going to, you shouldn't worry if at all your image is looking blurry and out of focus. So come and select your high frequency layer and activate it by hitting the eye icon. Then you're going to come right here to image. Remember, we only want to remain with the textures in this layer. So you're going to come to image, apply image. So I know you may be having this looking way different from the one I have right now. So remember, we hid our textures. Yeah, we hid the textures somewhere, so we want to steal those textures from where we hid them so that we can put them where they belong in the high frequency or the texture layer. So under this we have the source is the name of the image. Then we have to come to layer and we select the tones layer, because we would like to subtract those textures from the store of the color layer where we hid them after removing them from this very layer. So after doing so, remember we are just going to subtract them from the low frequency layer. So come to the blending and hit subtract, and make sure your opacity is 100, the scale is 2 and offset 128, because we want a 50% gray layer that is going to be containing the textures of the image. So that is 256 the colors in the RGB, divide by 2 you get 128. That's the reason as to why we have these two figures. Then make sure these boxes are not checked, and make sure invert is also not checked and your preview is on, and come and hit OK. So your image is going to be containing the textures. If at all I zoom in, I don't know if you guys can see, we have the textures in this very image. You can see those textures, but the color is missing, so you shouldn't worry if at all you can't see the colors anymore. You're going to come right here to a normal and change it to linear light. So when you change it to linear light, you're going to get back the image the way it was looking initially before. So we want to prove that we have successfully divided the frequencies, or we have successfully divided the image into the textures and the colors. And in order to prove that, we're going to come right here and select both layers, and we are going to put these two in a group. So you can just drag them and drop them to the group icon to put them in a group, or you can select both layers and hit Ctrl G for girl, Command G, yeah, like that, and put them in a group. So we're going to name that group frequency, yeah, sorry, frequency separation, like that. So we're going to turn this on and off to see if at all there is a difference between the original image and our frequency separation. And yeah, there is no difference. That means we have successfully done the frequency separation, or separated the frequencies of the image. But that is not all, and here is where I need your maximum attention. Let's first of all pause so that you guys can subscribe this channel if at all you haven't subscribed this channel. And if you're done, let's continue learning and creating. So let's first of all open this group. So remember, skin retouching is all about creating a smooth transition within the skin tones. Remember, the way light hits on different parts of our skins, it creates some kind of bumps or unevenness in the skin tones on our skins. So we want first of all look for those areas that have those uneven skin tone transitions, because skin retouching is all about creating smooth transitions in the skin tones. So we want to do that, and in order to notice those areas that don't have smooth skin tone transitions, we are going to create a black and white layer in our frequency separation group. So we are going to select the high frequency layer because we want to create the layer on top of the high frequency layer. So we have to select it and come right down here and select black and white. So when you select black and white, you're not going to be seeing the unevenness in the skin tones. So you're going to come under the reds and just darken like that. So when you start to darken, you're going to notice the unevenness in the skin tone transitions. So if at all to show you guys, we have some kind of blotchiness right here. Then we have right here that we don't have nice transitions right there. We have somewhere here. Then we have on the hands of the model, we have some light and dark parts. So we just want to create smooth skin tone transitions. So in order to do that, we're going to be learning about the mixer brush tool, and that is what we're going to be using to blend or harmonize the transitions within the colors or the skin tones of the image. First of all, you're going to come to the low frequency layer and make sure it is selected. And after it is selected, you're going to come right under brushes. So we're going to right click and select the mixer brush tool. So remember, this is a mixer brush tool and not your ordinary brush. And as it is stated, this brush stimulates real painting techniques such as blending colors and varying paint wetness. Yeah, I hope you have understood that. So we want to set up the mixer brush tool so that this brush is going to give us the best results, but while retaining the original skin textures. So after you have selected the mixer brush tool, we are going to come right here and you're going to select clean brush. So make sure you select clean brush because we don't want any color embedded in the brush you're going to be using. That's why we have to first clean the brush. Then we have two options right here. Make sure you select or highlight the second option because we want the brush to clean itself after each and every stroke when we are trying to blend the skin tones. So Photoshop is automatically going to, maybe if at all we are doing painting, Photoshop is automatically going to be dipping the brush for us in maybe any cleaning agent or maybe water or kerosene, and it's going to clean the brush so that we can continue blending a different area using a different color. So that's why you have to select this other second option. Then you're going to come to the wetness and you're going to make sure wetness is around 8% because we don't want a high wetness. Remember, a high wetness is going to be spilling more color on different areas, and we wouldn't want that because it is going to end up distorting on the original skin tones of the model. Make sure load is 75, the mix is 90, and the flow 100. I've always explained this in my tutorials. And make sure sample all layers is not checked or marked or selected because we only want to work on the low frequency layer because it contains the colors and the skin tones in the image. You're going to zoom in slightly into the face because we want precise areas to blend. So we are going to increase on the size of the mixer brush tool. Remember, zooming in your image, you have to hit Ctrl or Command plus, and zooming out you use Ctrl minus. And to increase or decrease on the size of the mixer brush tool, we want to use the left and the right brackets on the keyboard. So what we are going to be doing, we are going to be harmonizing the skin tones so that they have nice transitions. And in order to do that, we are going to have to mix the midtones alone, the shadows alone, and the highlights. And when we are mixing, we want to make sure we don't mix a particular area for a long time because it's going to be doubling the wetness of the effect. Yeah, and we are going to be losing out on the original skin textures in the model's face. So let's start blending like this. You can see I'm blending. Make sure you're on your low frequency layer before you start blending to see the effect. So just come and just blend. You can see I'm blending the highlight. We have some kind of highlight right here. I'm just blending there. Then we have some midtones right here, and we have some sort of shadows, and I'm just going to blend there like that. I hope you can see what I am doing. So let's come and blend right here and blend right here. You can see I'm not blending one area for a long time because I don't want to double the effect of the wetness on that particular area. So let's see the before and after so far. So turn off the black and white layer and turn this on and off to see what you have done so far. So you can see the before and after for what we have just done with just few strokes of a brush. So just activate this back and make sure you're still selected on the low frequency layer and just come and continue harmonizing those shadows right there. Then come and harmonize the lower chin like that. Anyway, there is no upper chin because the chin is usually on the lower part. So I don't think that even existed. So let's just continue blending. And you shouldn't worry if at all maybe you accidentally skip out on some areas because I'm about to share with you guys in a bit how to recover from that. So I'm going to be sharing another technique that you can use to maybe get the finest out of your skin retouching. So stay tuned and you shouldn't turn off because you're going to be learning each and everything. So basically This is a tutorial about how to do your skin retouching on outdoor images in Photoshop. Yeah, since I've been doing tutorials about retouching indoor images, and most of you were requesting me to do one about outdoor images, and yeah, I had to drop it for you guys because your comments really motivate me, and yeah, we keep on learning and growing together, because when you share knowledge, you end up growing better and knowing and learning better. So let's learn more about this. So you have to keep on checking on your progress of your images. So you can see that is the image before, after, before, after. You can see, if at all I try to zoom out to show you guys, you can see a before, after, before, after. So let's continue harmonizing most of the areas we haven't worked on. So you can as well work without the help of the black and white layer if at all you do trust your site. So let's turn this on because we want to be really precise with the mixing. So let's just mix those areas like that. Let's just blend these areas. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to turn this off, and I'm going to continue blending these areas like that. So I'm just blending using a mixer brush tool to harmonize the skin tones in the model's face. I think you can see how we are really transforming this image to really look like those top model images you see online. So let's turn this off and see what we have done so far. So turn this black and white layer off and see the before, after, before, after. You can see what we have just done using the mixer brush tool. Like I told you, some people really prefer to use the mixer brush tool independent, and I'm going to first undo that. Some people prefer to use the mixer brush tool independent, and others prefer to use the lasso tool method independent. But for this tutorial, we are going to be combining the two methods, and now we are going to be learning about how to use the lasso tool to fine-tune the image even more and have a more beautiful image out of our retouching. So we are going first of all delete the black and white layer because right now we no longer need it. So we are just going to hit the delete button after it is selected and hit delete, or you can just drag it and drop it. You can just drag it and drop it into this trash can icon to delete it. Then we are going to come and select back on the low frequency layer, then get the lasso tool. So this is the lasso tool. So by using the lasso tool, we are going to be selecting particular areas on the skin so that we can get the best out of that particular area. And make sure you put your feathering between 22 and 25 pixels to get a really refined selection. So I'm going to be using 23 pixels, and after you have put those values, hit the enter key so that it deselects that area, and alias is selected. So right now we are going to zoom into the image even more like that, so that we can have a nice selection on the skin of the model. So we're just going to come and make a selection. You can see how I'm selecting, and when you're making this selection, make sure you resist from selecting the eyebrows or the edges of the eyebrows, or maybe the outlines, because we just want to refine the skin and not those areas. So make sure you remain within the boundaries of the skin area you have selected. So come right here to filter and come to blur and hit Gaussian blur like that. So it is going to bring back the values we had initially before. So you have to move this until you see that you're getting the right skin texture out of your image. So you're just going to continue blurring, move this forward like that until we feel like we have gotten the best out of our image. So I think at around 30% we have the best skin texture. I feel this is okay and it looks natural enough. So you're just going to hit OK on the keyboard. So we're going to be applying the effect on the rest of the image. So by just drawing shapes and approving that Gaussian blur on the rest of the image to fine retune or to further fine tune the image. So you're just going to right click and hit Gaussian blur. And if at all you feel the effect is too much on a particular area, simply hit Shift Ctrl F or Shift Command F to reduce on the opacity of the effect on that area, like that. So you're just going to be applying the effect on the rest of the face of the model, like this. So you can see we are just now fine tuning, so you can now zoom in and just continue. You can see I'm leaving a reasonable space between the lips of the model and my selection, because I don't want color to be copied from the lips to the skin. So that's why I'm just resisting from doing so. So let's just do this like that. You can see the shapes I'm drawing are like maybe majorly about the way light is falling on a particular area. So right click and hit Gaussian blur. So I'm not going to be using shortcuts because I want each and everyone to follow along. That's why I'm using the longer process for hitting the Gaussian blur. So like this. Right click and hit on Gaussian blur. So you can as well apply it on this highlight. I know most people apply it right on the highlight and hit Gaussian blur. And remember, when you do that, you lose out on this beautiful highlight. And what I just said is you have to reduce on the effect of the Gaussian blur on that area. So you're just going to come and hit Shift Ctrl F or Shift Command F to reduce on the effect to regain back our beautiful highlight on that particular area. So you're just going to hit Command minus to zoom out. I think this can only work on the face of the model, and I don't want it to be applied on the other structures because they have less textures than the face usually. So you can see the before and after for the frequency separation. You can see what we have just done using the frequency separation technique. So we are going to come and now we are going to be learning about the amazing global dodging and burning technique. So we have just done the frequency separation, and under that we use the mixer brush tool and the lasso tool method combined with the mixer brush tool method to get the best out of our image or our skin retouching. Now you can see the image before and after. It is really looking beautiful. So right now we're going to be adding shape or dimension onto this image, and in order to add shape or dimension onto the image, we are going to be using the dodging and burning technique. And the dodging and burn technique we are going to be using is going to be basically the one of drawing lines, because it is simpler and easier to understand. So that's what we're going to be learning about in this very step. So we're going to be coming right here, and before we do that, remember dodging and burning is more of enhancing the highlights and the shadows in the image. Since frequency separation in most cases flattens out the image, dodging and burning is there to save or bring back those beautiful shapes or dimension or contours in the images. So we're going to come right here and we're going to select curves. So we're going to make a midpoint right here and drag until the image really brightens up like that. So we're just going to close that. So make sure this right here is selected and hit Ctrl or Command I on the keyboard to hide that effect. Remember, when we are dodging will be brightening, and when we are burning will be darkening basically. So we are going to name that dodge like that. Then you're going to come right here and you're going to create a curves adjustment, and you're going to darken this time around until the image turns dark. Make sure this is selected, the mask is selected, and invert it to hide the effect from the image by hitting Ctrl or Command I on the keyboard, and you're going to name that burn. Remember, burning an image or a given area is going to darken that particular area. So we are going to put these two in a group by selecting both layers and hitting Command and hitting Ctrl G or Command G on the keyboard to put them in a group, or you can just drag and drop right here to put them in a group. So we're going to name that group dodge and burn like that. So what you're going to be doing, you're going to open this group, and when you open it, you have our dodge and burn layers. So first of all, you're going to come right down here on the bottom left. We have two boxes right here. Make sure you have black and white in these boxes, because they're going to determine your dodge and burn, because we want to get a white brush that is going to be revealing the effect we hid while doing our dodging and burning. Yeah, we're going to come right here and make sure you reset to get the default of these boxes, black and white. And to get white on top, you're just going to hit this arrow to get white on top. So come and get your ordinary brush like this. So, and after you have gotten that, come and select, maybe we're going to first of all dodge the image. And remember, dodging is more of brightening. So we are going to be drawing lines on the areas that have highlights in the image. So make sure the opacity and the flow of the brush are at 100%. The smoothing is at 0%, and it is a normal brush or a soft round brush. Then zoom in a little bit into the image, and we are going to start drawing lines on the areas that have highlights in the image. So I'm just going to come and make sure you're on the dodge layer and draw a line on the highlight like that. So we have a highlight right here, then we have a highlight. I think we have a highlight right there. Then we have one right on the forehead and right here on the chin. So right here we have a highlight like that. So we are basically trying to draw lines on areas where we have highlights. So make sure this mask is selected and come right here to window and come to properties like that. So after coming, make sure your density is 100%. Then come under feathering, you click on this icon and move it towards the right hand side to feather out or reduce on or blend that effect into the model's skin like that. So let's say before and after. So that's the before, after. I think that is too much, so let's reduce on that. So that is the before, after. So we are going to close this. Remember, it is now affecting the colors in the image. We're going to come and change the blending mode from normal to luminosity like that. Then we're going to be doing the same for the burning. So come and select the burn mask and draw lines on every area that has a shadow. So just come and draw a line right there. We have a shadow. Then we have a shadow right here. Then we have a shadow and a shadow there too. So you can come and draw the shadow. So you're basically drawing lines on the areas that have shadows in the image. Then we have a shadow right on the nose and this side or this part of the nose too. So I think these are areas you're going to be burning for this image. So we can just increase on this and this right here. So make sure this is selected. Come right to window and come to properties. And after doing that, then start 100 and come to the feathering and move it towards the right hand side to feather that into the image. To bring back shape or dimension onto this image. So you can see the before, after for the dodging and burning. You can see the image really has a shape or dimension added to it, and if at all you feel it is too much for your liking, you can come and reduce on the opacity of maybe the burn or the dodge like that by making sure like it is selected and reducing on it, and coming to the dodge and doing that. And if at all you feel your general dodging and burning is too much, you can drop down, close the group, and come and reduce on the opacity of the dodging and burning. So that's the before, after. Then you're going to open this, and if at all you feel like you dodged an area you don't want, come and select the burn, for example, and make sure you turn the brush into black and paint over the area to eliminate the effect from that area. So basically that is all for dodging and burning, to bring back shape or dimension to the image but for my liking I'm just going to reduce on the effect because I feel it is too much for my liking anyway. So we are done doing the dodging and burning on this very image to bring back shape or add dimension to this image. So what we are going to be doing, we are going to be learning about color grading, and for the color grading we are just going to be using selective color. So I'm going to come right here and selective color like that, and you're going to come under blacks and you're just going to intensify on the blacks to add some little of depth in the shadows. Then after doing so, because I feel the colors are like too enough for this image, I'm going to come right here and come to photo filter. I don't know. So photo filter, and come right here and select cooling filter and reduce on the warmth or of the image. You can either play around with that. Yeah, you can either leave the density like that, or you can reduce it, or you can just close all this and come to the opacity and knock it down to the one of your liking. So you're just going to go with around 8%. I think that looks okay. Then we are going to put these two in a group, Control G. So we can name that color grading like this. So you can see the before and after. It is not too much, but it is really subtle to give us a more beautiful image. So we want to be learning about how to whiten eyes and teeth in Photoshop, and for this case we are going to be diving into the camera raw filter in Photoshop. So you just want to create a stamp visible layer for all we have done for the skin retouching by hitting Shift Alternate Control E on the keyboard, or Shift Alternate Command E on the keyboard to create a stamp visible layer. By doing that, just come Shift Alternate Control E on the keyboard, Shift Alternate Control E for Mac users, and you're going to be duplicating that layer by hitting Command J or Control J. We're going to come to filter and we're going to come to camera raw filter like that. And after doing so, we are going to come under the adjustment brush tool. So you can either hit K on the keyboard to get the adjustment brush tool, or you can simply come and select it. So under this we have so many options right here. Remember, most of the times I'm going to first of all zoom into the image by hitting Command plus or Control plus on the keyboard. Remember, when we are doing the eye whitening, we have to make sure we paint over only the white area of the eye. Remember, eye whitening is more of removing the yellowness, the redness, or any color that is in the white area of the eye, and maybe brightening it up a little bit. So you're going to come and drop this down. Temperatures, remember, we are removing yellow from the image, and the opposite of yellow is blue, so we have to go with the blue side. So you're just going to go to 20, let's go with 20, 25. Then you're going to come to the tint because we want some kind of reddish feel to the eyes at 58. And you're going to increase the highlights to make the eyes pop to 4, plus the whites to 5. And remember, we want to remove color from the white area of the eyes and teeth. We're going to knock this down until we hit maybe 68. And now reduce on the adjustment brush tool by using the left bracket on the keyboard, and or you can increase it by using the right bracket, and just come and paint over the white area like that to give it a more, or give the eyes more life like this. I hope you guys can see what is being done right now. So you can hit Command minus to zoom out and hold down the space bar to move your image. Now we are now going to do the teeth whitening. So you're zooming in using the Command plus, and you're just going to paint over the teeth. And when you're doing this, make sure you paint over each and every individual tooth as a whole, or maybe one by one, because we don't want to remove color from the gums. We want the gums to remain as natural as possible like that. So you're basically doing the teeth whitening, and this is going to transform your images to a whole new level. You're going to see a difference in the images you'll be posting maybe on social media and your retouched images as a whole. So make sure you don't paint the lips because it is going to desaturate or remove color from the lip area. So I think this looks okay to me, and after doing so, hit OK to commit the effect onto the image. So you can see the before and after for the eye and teeth whitening. If you feel it is too much, you can come and reduce or turn it down or reduce on the effect of the eye and teeth whitening. So basically this is what we have done onto this very image, and this has been an in-depth tutorial about how to do skin retouching. So you can see what we have done so far before we can even save the image. So this was the image before. So let me show you guys the image before, after, before, after. You can see what we have just done for the skin retouching of this very image. So right now we want to learn about how to save our image in Photoshop so that it doesn't change color when we post it maybe on social media or put it on another device. So we want to learn about the best export settings for images. So after we have done all this, dodging and burning, color grading, skin retouching, we are going to come right here to File. Remember, we want to save the image, and you're going to come to Export and click Export As. So after doing so, it is going to open this window right here, and under this we have the format, quality, and everything. But let's wait for the image to load so that we can learn. So I think it is done loading. So we are just going to come right to format, make sure it is JPEG, and make sure the quality is 100% because we want, of course, a full resolution. Then you're going to come right here to color space. So make sure you check these two boxes right here. So convert to sRGB and embed color profile must be checked, and after doing so, come and hit export. So when you click on export, it's going to bring this little window, and what you're going to do, you're going to have to rename maybe or choose a location. So we are going to rename the image maybe outdoor like outdoor 4. Then you're going to come and choose a location for the image, that is the desktop, and hit save. And when you're done doing so, your image is going to be saved into the folder or the device where you would like your image to be saved. So basically this is how you do retouch your outdoor images in Photoshop. And if at all you learned something, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and don't forget to keep practicing so that you can be a better photographer and retoucher. I'm Ronnix from Ronnix Photography. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in yet another tutorial on this channel. And don't forget to keep practicing and keep creating.